It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. I'm going to be covering tray 148, 149, and 150 for you guys to finish out this season of Tower of Sweet Chaos. And I'm also going to be explaining the reason that we're building the teams the way we are. Now, as you can see, treasures have no effect here. So we don't have extra boosted power, we don't have extra healing, extra defenses, none of that we can take advantage of from our treasures. What we do have is our toppings, the promotions of our cookies, the bonds, and the cookies that we have. So please do take into account that I personally have a lot of cookie bonds, and I have a lot of guild buffs. So if I was able to somehow disable those, I could show you at a rate that would be more obtainable to most players. But just please keep that in mind so that you don't mimic the exact same team and think, I am not producing the same results. So I'm going to more cover it from a generalized perspective and explain why I'm doing what I'm going for. So we've got dark chocolate, licorice, rye cookie, vampire, and pure vanilla on their team. So they're running a critical build, which will come from both rye cookie and vampire cookie. They have summons from licorice, and they also have the defense increase from licorice as well. They do have pure vanilla, so that means shields, and they have dark chocolate to lower our defenses. So if we keep that in mind, with the rule set that we can only have 0 defense cookies and 0 support cookies, we want to take out those opposing cookies accordingly. So let's build with that in mind. So we're going to do espresso. Reason is that's going to counter licorice cookie pretty nicely. We're going to have a back cookie that is strong. So that will be vampire, because we'll out-vampire their vampire because of our magic candy, since they do not have access to the magic candy, which means we get a free revival even if their vampire takes ours out. We will do dark cacao, but if you don't have dark cacao, you can do Twizzly to take care of the shields from pure vanilla. Dark chocolate's going to hit our defenses pretty heavily, so honestly we want burst power. So with that in mind, you can do clotted cream. If you do not have clotted cream, the next best option would probably either be pumpkin pie cookie or squid ink cookie. Now, I'm going to do pumpkin pie because it's an extra body on the field. Anytime you can produce more bodies and it's not being countered directly by the team strategy, you're going to do good. So that's going to be helpful here with pumpkin pie. And then last but not least, let's look back at the team. We've got rye cookie. Rye's going to hit the back end pretty hard and pretty fast. We don't have any treasures to go against that. And if we take a healer that is not a support, like just an actual healer class, then we may end up having either rye and vampire combo one-shot them. So yet again, we don't really want to take someone that's at the back line that's going to have that problem. So let's leave vampire in the back line. Let's grab another frontline cookie instead. So I'm thinking, yet again, bodies. Let's just produce more bodies. Let's use crunchy chip. So here, these are the toppings that I'm going to personally use. You can use anything in damage resistance. You can do defense. You can go burst with full searing or critical powers. There's a lot of different ways to set it up. Really, it does depend on your cookie levels, your bonds, and your guild buffs. That's going to be the biggest thing, the monuments, things like that. Those will make the impact of how hard and how easy the level is for you. As you can see, tray 148 is only 534,000 power here. Mine is 1.8 million with this team. I should have absolutely no issues with this match because of the level of upgrades that I have. So when you are looking at this, if you're unsure if you're going to be able to beat it, look at the power. Power almost never matters in most scenarios, but seeing as they cannot optimize and min-max their toppings, seeing as you have full view of their treasures and they do not have guild buffs or bonds, you know pretty much what you're fighting. So that means if you can outpace their power with the right counter team, such as what we've devised here, you'll win. So let's take it in, show you what happens. So pumpkin pie is of course going to be able to activate first, getting us the leg up in the battle, removing their healing, which is countering their pure vanilla. They do end up taking pumpkin pie because pumpkin pie is frail, but everyone else had no lossage of HP at much degree, and the major damage was caused by dark cacao, pumpkin pie, and crunchy chip cookie. So really, you can see on their team, Rye and Vampire, quick, absolutely quick in damage. They outpaced everyone else on their team. It was very fast. Healing was actually higher on Vampire on their team because he self-heals, where Pure Vanilla did not get to do much healing against their team, and what Pure Vanilla did do in healing was focused on their dark chocolate. So hopefully that helps you for that specific trained wave. Now if we go to 149, we'll check the differences here. We can still run the same team. Here's the thing. We've got wave cookies here, so it's not just one team. They've got boss cakes and they have wave resurgence. So we have to think, is our team set up strong enough to still take the waves? Because we do not have the treasures in our favor this time. Now their power is 765,000 this time. Much stronger. Still within the realms for me to take care of, but please do measure that when you're fighting the team and how you build it, because your power and your ability to handle waves of enemies is going to matter a lot. I would suggest, if you do not have the same upgrades that I have, the easiest solution, and I'll even make this change just so you can see it, the easiest solution here is going to be just switching out Pumpkin Pie with Blossom, because Blossom handles waves super, super well. And you'll see that here too. I don't think I even have toppings on Blossom right now. Just what she does is just perfect against waves of enemies and hordes. Same with Espresso. Espresso, Dark Cacao, Blossom, all three of them are really great wave handlers. And as long as we can keep Crunchy alive, then we're okay. In this scenario, we do have an option to use a healer. So if we feel that we will not keep our cookies alive because of our toppings, we can either replace Vampire or Blossom with Pure Vanilla. I would recommend replacing Vampire because you do not need Vampire in a wave situation battle. And then you can have the heals, which will be boosted by Blossom because of that attack buff. Now going on to the last tray, tray 150. We are not allowed any ambush cookies here. So we are fighting a boss. We do have a few enemies, and we're not allowed ambushes. So Dark Cacao, defense down, works good against bosses. Better option is probably Dark Chocolate, if you have the toppings, and I'll show you why, because of the defense down that happens, so we'll change to that. Then we know that we're fighting some waves, so we'll leave Crunchy Chip. No reason to not have that. That's more bodies, that's more power, and that's more presence. Espresso's not really going to do a lot here, so let's change from Espresso to Sorbet, just because we want to take out bosses. And then, of course, since we're not allowed ambushes, but we are allowed healing and supports, let's take Eclair for extra damage, and let's take Cotton for the sheep damage, the stuns, and the healing. And then if we look here, Sorbet is an ambush. I did not consider that. So a better replacement, since we cannot do ambush, we are going to do... We don't really have a lot of great attackers that are not ambush at this moment. Well, I take that back. We could do Mango. So we could either do Mango for more attack boosts, similar to Eclair, and hitting waves, or we could do Wildberry for extra defense. So if you're running lower level cookies, go Wildberry. Just because you have more damage resistance, you'll have longer potentials to live. If you have higher level cookies, Mango's going to really pump the damage out, and you'll see that here too. So let's take it in, show you what happens. Because Mango, the waves hit every enemy on the way, so it's really helpful. And as you can see, the waves just clear through, and we push on to the boss. We don't have any treasures to lower the defense, so right now we're pretty reliant on just pure damage. But yet again, we're able to persist through without any issues. Now, I'm going to just stress it one last time. If you do not have the cookie bonds and the upgrades and the costume bonds, it's going to be a little bit harder. Level 70 cookies, Ascension, all of that is going to play into how well you can handle this last tower tray. But I also do want to make a point that hopefully in about 2 updates, maybe longer, but maybe about 2 updates, we should be getting more trays. So that means that we're going to start getting to a point that even if you're handling stages like this at 800,000 power, we might start seeing even higher. And they might start having more requirements for common and rare cookies. So we may start seeing that too. If they do, What is it you want to see from team recommendations? Do you want to see specific builds that are just hitting the stage really strong? Do you want to see funky builds that still work, but it just isn't what you expect? I'd love to hear your opinion. Either way, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope this guide helps you with the last trade towers before the season ends. You got 14 days left to do it. My best luck and wishes to you, and thank you so much for stopping by.